Okay, we're good on my end.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Tim Voss, and I'm the chair of the Historic Conservation Board, and I'd like to take a minute to remind everyone about the rules of this proceeding. This proceeding is at all times governed by the rules of procedure, a copy of which is available online. All those planning to testify today, which does not include those solely making arguments such as attorneys, will be asked to take an oath administered by the board's attorney when they testify. This is a quasi-judicial hearing. As such, the board reserves the right to deliberate in private. The Ohio rules of evidence do not apply to this hearing. However, professional rules of conduct do apply, and candor to the tribunal is required. The board members are citizen volunteers and are not paid for their service. They are treated as public officials under Ohio law, and any attempt to influence them, including but not limited to bribery, intimidation, retaliation, which may include contacting their employer in an attempt to exert influence, is punishable as a crime. All should be aware that this meeting is being recorded. Therefore, please speak clearly into your microphone and state your name and address for the record. In the event of any technical difficulties with this video conferencing technology, I may continue or postpone this hearing at my discretion. All participants providing testimony must have both camera and audio features turned on in order to participate. Cassandra, are you going to send me the sign-in sheet? Okay. With that, we'll proceed to the first item, 1 Dexter Place. Mr. Owen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is an application for a certificate of appropriateness for 1 Dexter Place in the East Walnut Hills Historic District. This is an existing single-family residence. The rear of the building has an open porch on the ground floor with an enclosed second-story sunroom above it. And the applicant is proposing to enclose that ground story portion to make it indoor living space. It would be used as a new breakfast room extending off the existing kitchen. So the enclosure would include lap siding in the infilled portion and new windows and door. And the staircase coming off the end will be altered as well to exit to the sides instead of coming straight out the back. There's no zoning relief required for this, as it's all within the existing building footprint. And staff does feel that this is appropriate in the interest of historic conservation, primarily because this enclosure is on the rear of the property and it will not be highly visible from the front street. So with that being said, staff recommends the Historic Conservation Board take the following actions based on plans by Michael Wentz dated 10/20/22. Approve a certificate of appropriateness for alterations to the property at 1 Dexter Place with the following conditions. A, the proposed lap siding shall be wood or fiber cement material. B, the proposed new windows shall be approved by staff once selected, and the windows shall not be vinyl. And C, the building permits must be issued within 2 years of the decision date, or the certificate of appropriateness shall expire.
Thank you, Mr. Owen. All right, Mr. Wentz, do you have anything that you would like to add? Staff is not told.
Not really. I mean, it's kind of a slam dunk project here, just in terms of the direction. There's not anything unusual about it.
Sworn in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Wentz, if you could raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right. I know that you went very far, but I thought you went farther than we needed to go without getting you sworn in. So go ahead.
Right. Thank you. Mike Wentz, 7813 Ted Gregory Lane is my address. It's obviously a fantastic old house in East Walnut Hills. My client's been there for a little while, and he wants to stay there for the foreseeable future. Because there's a detached garage in the back, there's this need to create more living space and kind of a drop area mud zone, and then you can see from the floor plan on A1.0 that there's really the existing kitchen goes straight to the family room. There's a very formal, as many of these older homes were designed, there's a very, very formal dining room that's not shown here on the front at the front of the home, but this would act as kind of a main entrance off of the rear of the property from the detached 2-car garage. into the house, creating also a informal dining area as well. So we think it's an appropriate use to enclose the space and create a nicer transition from the outside to the main living areas of the house.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board for staff or the applicant?
Tim, we had the owner join us late.
Okay. Dries and Jamie Van Landen.
Van Landit, that's correct.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
That's right.
not the first name I've mangled, probably won't be the last. Is there anything you'd like to add that Mr. Wentz or Mr. Owen have not told us?
No, but do I need to be sworn in before I say anything or not?
Well, if you have something that you want to add, then yes, you need to be sworn in.
Well, I probably should do that just.
Okay, go ahead.
You'd raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, as Mike detailed, we're just working with an existing space and just closing it in, and expect to use the same look as much as we can for something that was built over 120 years ago, and matching it with the wood, and be just caretakers of this house, and continue to improve it in a sensible, both from a sustainability, but stay within our footprint of East Walnut Hills look and feel. And that's why we chose Mike to do this. And so we don't plan to do anything that wouldn't fit the period of the house or the neighborhood or anything else. And I think that's one of the things we stated with Mike, is to stay clear. And so I think, as was mentioned earlier, to make sure that we match the lap side and use non-vinyl windows, are all things that, my wife and I as owners completely agree upon. Would not do anything else that would be different from that. So we hope that it's reviewed favorably, and we can move forward and continue to be, as I say, caretakers of the house in a smart way. So that's all I have to add.
All right. Any questions or comments from the board? Absent that, I will entertain a motion.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness is laid out by staff.
And second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Zelasco,
Aye.
Mr. Weiss,
Yes.
Ms. McDobbins,
Yes.
Ms. McKinsey,
Aye.
Mr. Young,
Yes.
Mr. Sunderman.
Yes.
Chair votes aye. Item number 1 is approved. Go forth. Looks like a nice way to improve the home. That brings us to item 2.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
127 Green Street, Mr. Owen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is an application for zoning relief and a certificate of appropriateness at 127 Green Street in the Over the Rhine Historic District. This is an existing vacant lot, and the applicant is proposing a new 2-family infill building on the site. The project does require zoning relief, 2 forms of zoning relief. The first is a dimensional variance of 16.33 feet for a rear yard setback of 8.8 feet, which is short of the required 25 feet. And also they will need a special exception to eliminate the type A buffer yard on the east side of the property. Going through the zoning relief first, staff feels that this is appropriate for this area, as the property is in a similar footprint as the surrounding development. The rear yard setback is nearly identical to the building next door, and it does include that rear deck, which is an open structure, so that will not be as impactful on the surrounding properties as a full addition on the rear. And then as far as the type A buffer yard, that would normally be required along the east property line, because this is a break between the commercial district at the corner and the residential district to the east. So technically a type A buffer yard is required there, which is 10 feet of open space and a 6-foot screen fence. Staff feels that it's appropriate to waive the buffer yard requirements because this is a residential use that's proposed on the site, which is the same as the use in the residential district to the east. So there's no real reason to provide that buffer, which is intended to buffer more intensive uses in commercial districts from those residential districts. So staff does feel that the zoning relief is appropriate on the site. As far as the certificate of appropriateness is concerned, staff feels that the project does substantially conform to the Over the Rhine historic conservation guidelines. It does have a composition with a defined base, middle, and top. And the rhythm and emphasis are appropriate based on the surrounding context. The roof style is a common one found in the district, and the window openings are also in an appropriate configuration. As far as the materials are concerned, the applicant is proposing a gray brick and a stacked bond on the front facade. The window surrounds will be a fiber cement paneling. And then on the side and rear elevations, the applicant's proposing a hardy lap siding. There's a narrow brick return wrapping the corner from the front. So staff, excuse me, generally feels that this is appropriate. Typically, we would like to see more of a brick wrapping around the corner of a building that does have high visibility. However, being that this property is near the corner, there are 2 vacant lots between this property and Elm Street. And this property is built to the lot lines on both sides. So staff feels that using the fiber cement lap siding on the side will not have a negative impact on the surrounding district because it will largely be screened. It is going to be highly visible once it's built, just because there are the 2 vacant lots to the west of the existing building. But again, being built at the lot line on that west side, it's likely that these 2 lots will be developed with new infill construction in the future, which would further screen that lap siding. So overall, staff does feel that the project is appropriate. We would make the recommendation based on the plans by Benelli and Batch Architects dated 11/28/22 that the Historic Conservation Board approved the dimensional variance of 16.33 feet for a rear yard setback of 8.8 feet and approve the special exception to eliminate the type A buffer yard on the east side of the property. And staff also recommends approval of the certificate of appropriateness for 127 Green Street, including revisions subject to staff review, with the condition that the building permits must be issued within 2 years of the decision date or the COA shall expire. I believe you're muted, Mr. Chair.
Sorry. Mr. Batch, will you be speaking on behalf of the applicant?
Yeah, I think I'll say a few words.
Okay, let's get you sworn in.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, go ahead.
First of all, thank the staff and Doug for the summary. I think it pretty accurately reflected the discussions we've had and the thinking that we've had that have gone into the design. I would just note that the building adjacent to us at 125 Green Street is also a lap siding building. So that was one of the considerations that we had. It's the lot itself, the street itself is fairly varied in terms of the architectural styles and the massing on the street. So while we wanted to be respectful, we also felt we had a little bit more leeway on this site than we might have on another site that was more a streetscape that was more kind of consistently developed. That's the only things I really wanted to bring to your attention. But if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And I don't know if Greg Cole, the owner, has any thing he'd like to add.
All right, well, let's ask him. Mr. Cole, you have anything you would like to add?
Just like to thank everybody for their time, and I think Lou and Doug pretty well described the project.
Okay. Questions from the board for the staff or the applicant? Absent that, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve both the zoning relief and the certificate of appropriateness as laid out by staff.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Zelasco,
Aye.
Mr. Weiss,
Yes.
Ms. McDobbins,
Yes.
Ms. McKinsey.
I did just want to say that I appreciate the comments regarding the appropriateness for maybe this street versus other streets in Over the Rhine. I agree with that, and my vote is aye.
Thank you. Mr. Young,
Aye.
Mr. Sunderman.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. The motion is approved. All right. That's it on that. Do we have any other business?
No, sir.
I don't think so.
Well, in which case I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned.